drop a beat.
This is how it starts.
Y'all didn't know I have a DJ name on the weekends?
We drop a different beat.
All right, it is time for the Funkast Blast.
Ooh, Funkast Blast. Funkast Blast.
Funkast
Pew.
Blast.
Pew, pew, pew.
Funkast Blast. Funkast Blast. Pew, pew, pew.
Today we won't chew into the mics this time.
Is that a better one?
That was awesome.
What's up, fanatics? Welcome to episode 119 of the Funko Funkast, the only official Funko podcast recorded at Funko HQ in Everett, Washington. This is your host, Sully, and you'll notice an absence of the rest of the team. It will not be an episode featuring just me this week. I wouldn't put you through that. Instead, I have something very, very special for you. You probably have already seen by the title and description of this week's episode that we do have a special guest. I was fortunate enough to get some time on the books with Funko's own Brian Mariotti to talk about a specific subject. I don't know if you've been following Brian on Twitter. He is on Twitter. Make sure you follow him if you haven't already. He went out and tweeted first the trailer for a Amazon Prime series, but most recently reached out to us and said, hey, I'm really enjoying this show. So we thought it would be a great opportunity to talk to him about The Boys, an Amazon Prime series, 8 episodes available now. It started on July 26th. It's based on the comic book of the same name by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, developed by Eric Kripke for Amazon. It follows the titular team of vigilantes as they fight back against superpowered people who abuse their abilities. There's a great description that I read, I think it's off IMDb. When a soup kills the love of his life, AV salesman Huey Campbell teams up with Billy Butcher, a vigilante hell-bent on punishing corrupt soups, and Huey's life will never be the same again. Now, I prepared some questions going in for Brian, but knowing that his time was very valuable, I thought I'd spend just a couple of minutes covering the series for you guys. Literally a couple minutes. I won't take much of the time here. If you have not seen it yet, I highly recommend you stop, you watch the show, and you come back. I don't want to spoil anything for you because all of our conversation is based on the fact that we had both seen the show. If you have seen it, here's a few reminders. For myself, I had to do a little research going in because it had been a while. Vought International is a big corporation managed by Madeline Stillwell, at least at the level of The Seven, which is some superheroes a la the Justice League from DC. You got Homelander, played by Anthony Starr, who was also in Banshee, a TV show that Brian and I talked about. A-Train by Jesse T. Usher. Queen Maeve, played by Dominic McElligott. Hope I didn't mispronounce that. The Deep, played by Chance Crawford. Great character. Black Noir, played by Nathan Mitchell. Translucent, played by Alex Hassel. And the new addition to the Seven, Starlight, played by Erin Moriarty. Then we have The Boys. Billy Butcher, played by the impressive Carl Urban. Love this guy. He's great in everything he's in. Huey Campbell, played by Jack Quaid. Mother's Milk, played by Laz Alonso. Frenchie, played by Tomer Capone. I'm sure I butchered that. I'm sorry, Tomer. And The Female, played by Karen Fukuhara. Again, I got some questions for Brian. I'm going to jump over. We're going to put that in right here. But before I do, just a reminder, we did have some giveaways during episode 118. This episode itself, 119, will probably drop on Wednesday the 11th. I will spend that afternoon reaching out to our winners. We have multiple people who will be getting a Funko Shop Box of Fun on Twitter, and then some SoundCloud winners that will get a Social Media Freddy and a Funcast t-shirt. I'll reach out to all those people directly. Congratulations if you're a winner. Be sure to check those DMs. And then check back next week. We should have the gang back together for episode 120. And then not too far down the road, go ahead and put it on your schedule now. If you'll be attending New York Comic Con, we will return with another Funko Funkast Live at New York Comic Con Thursday, October 3rd at 7:45 p.m. Yes, 7:45 p.m. I saw a couple of people say, why so late? Why does it have to be on Thursday? We don't get to pick the time. But we're excited that New York Comic Con is willing to host us again. And I think it's kind of cool that we're not going up against anything that will conflict other than maybe a night out on the town or a dinner. Come spend your time with us. We'd really appreciate it. We had a great crowd last year, and hopefully that won't be a lost episode too soon. All right, now for the segment with Brian. If you like what you hear, please let Brian know on Twitter and tell him you appreciate his time and being on the Funko Funkast. We'd like to have him back in the future, and I think that's a great way to get him excited about it. So now, listen and enjoy. All right, I was lucky enough to grab a few minutes with Funko's own Brian Mariotti to talk about The Boys. I know you showed some interest in the show. You tweeted about it. What got you interested in The Boys?
I thought I was gonna sit down and watch kind of a raunchy Deadpool R-rated version of a superhero movie, and that's kind of what I was thinking I was getting when I was seeing the previews, and that was enough to interest me because I love Deadpool, and the Ryan Reynolds movies. But as I started watching the show, it just was way deeper and better written than I ever thought it would. It had commentary on politics and how we view heroes and how social media is used and how our movie industry is and how we merchandise and market people. And I just thought it was as I started watching it, just a way better written, more enjoyable show than I ever hoped for. And I think I watched, I think it was all 8 episodes in like 2 days. And so absolutely loved it. It was really one of those things. It was a real surprise for me. It was a not as much of a slow burner as I thought. Like Umbrella Academy started off a little bit slow and just got better and better each and every episode. Where I thought this started off strong and just got better and completely hooked me. And it was like with Stranger Things. I remember watching Stranger Things when it first came out. I watched all 8 episodes and God knows it was like a day. It was almost 8 full hours of watching something. And then I did this in 2 days, but it was pretty cool.
And now, is that the way you normally watch a Netflix-type show or an Amazon show, or do you like to space them out?
Well, because I'm old and I go to bed early, sometimes it's an episode by episode. Sometimes it's an episode and a half a day. But no, when something just grabs my attention, I am so impatient. I want to get through it so quickly. I want to see how it ends. And The Boys were certainly a TV show that was that for me. I wanted to just consume it as fast as I possibly can.
Was the Amazon trailer the first time that you'd ever heard of The Boys, or were you aware of the comic book series?
No, I wasn't aware of the comic book series. Saw the trailer, and immediately thought, I got to put this on my list. It took a little while longer to get to than I originally thought, but it was only a couple weeks later, and I started hearing good things about it. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to rearrange my consumption order to move The Boys to the top of the list. So that's what I did.
I'm with you. I was immediately attracted to it from the trailers. I got to check this out. Do you have a favorite character? I mean, we had some amazing characters in the Seven and the Boys. One stand out to you?
No, I mean, I love Starlight. I loved, kind of what she stood for. I loved how she stood up, and kind of found her voice midway through the season. I love that you're kind of setting her up to battle against Homelander, probably for season 2, and. No, she was definitely my favorite character. I liked Billy Butcher a lot, and I just liked Huey, but I really liked Billy Butcher as well. So,
Carl Urban's great in everything he's in.
Absolutely.
Did you have a favorite episode or moment that stood out to you during the series?
There were things that I remember that were hilarious and more of the R-rated. I thought when the Deep dropped his pants and started harassing Starlight off the. That was more what I thought the show was going to be, and obviously it was. There were just moments like that obviously is what attracted me to the show. But again, I said the show is much better than I ever hoped it was going to be. No, I think that was one I remember, but I just think overall the tone of the show and Homelander starting out so pure and so innocent, and they made him sound like he never had any kind of, drinking issues or drug issues or anything like that. And it made it sound like this was this glorified, leader of the Seven. And then as you find out, he's the one that ultimately really is the villain of the series. And, and the big corporation that they all hide behind. But, I just thought it was just interesting how it evolved. And I just enjoyed definitely all the episodes. So.
You honed in on it from the trailer, and then from that moment you just mentioned, there was a lot of graphic stuff to the show, a lot of R-ratedness. Do you think that added to or detracted from what the show could have been on another station, another network?
No, I think it did. I mean, I don't think Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is nearly successful if it's PG-13 as it was R. I thought that Huey's girlfriend being essentially murdered, the way it was and the way it was shown and the way it was depicted, and how you created a hero against the Seven based on the personal loss that he had and the way they showed it, how graphic in nature the way it was shown, and the fact that A-Train was under the influence and all this other stuff that happened. I thought that they did a really good job of character study on why these characters feel the way they do. Even Billy Butcher, as you start to find out what happened in his past and why he's so against the Seven and what's going on. So I think they did an amazing job of setting up all these characters and giving backstories to these characters and making you want to care about their fight against these guys. And so I think it needed the graphic nature, it needed the R-rated nature of the series, and I just go back to what would Deadpool be if it was PG or PG-13. It just wouldn't be quite the movie.
In prepping for this, I was trying to come up with the right questions, and one thing I came across time and time again was people said the show had such a balance with all the characters, and I didn't realize it till reading that, and it made sense.
It did. I mean, they did a really good job of explaining Homelander, of explaining Billy Butcher, explaining Huey, explaining Starlight, and going into those four characters really, really deep, and getting you to care about those characters or hate those characters. The whole Queen Maeve, Homelander airplane scene where they had to abandon an entire airplane, and Queen Maeve's like obviously devastated by that, and Homelander's just like, man, it is what it is, and setting that up, and then having her eventually help Starlight, because I think that kind of experience kind of realized that what she's doing is not what she probably originally signed up for, and I love that they went deep, and I think it makes you so much more vested in the story, and then I can't wait for season 2. So that's also a good sign.
I'm with you there. Do you think if we had real superheroes, we would see more of this type of activity, or would it be more like Marvel's Avengers?
No, I think this is more real life. I think that fame is a bitch, and there are tons of movies that show what happens when someone. They always say power corrupts, and I don't believe power corrupts. I believe power reveals, and so as you get power, it reveals who you really are to your core. And some people will use that to be even more magnanimous and help more people, and some people will straddle the line between self-interest and glorification of their own self and who they think they are, and how meaningful they are to people, and then the doing the good. And so I think this is more of an accurate representation. If some people were blessed with these powers, and these all might be genetically enhanced powers based by some chemical based on the show, but I think this is more realistic than a more utopian way of thinking that all superheroes would be great people.
I'm sure you saw it. There was a great nod to Funko in one episode where they showed a little figure of A-Train.
Yeah.
It was clearly a custom pop of some sort. What did that mean to you, seeing that in a show?
I thought it was cool. I mean, someone brought it up to my attention, so then I was aware, and I was like looking for it, and I wasn't sure what episode it was. And, I think there was also there might even have been, I get so many shows, I consume so many shows. Every time anybody ever walks into a comic book shop, I'm always looking for the Funko Pop section, and one of the cool things that I've heard from a lot of our retail partners is that there are a lot of people that have small stores that say that Funko saved their store and maybe even their small comic book shop industry, because we have met so much as a company to collectibles, but then you look at it and how that trickles down. It means so much to smaller companies that a small comic book shop can succeed because of the popularity of our figures. And even though we are selling at Walmart and Target, that they're still able to carve out a better living than ever before. It means a lot that we're doing a lot as a company. So it is kind of cool to see those nods to us every time, no matter what show it is or what movie it is. When they always step into I think I remember seeing it in the final sequel to Unbreakable, and it was in there as well. So in the M. Night Shyamalan series. So I think that it was. I think it's cool.
While many of the members of the Seven have powers similar to Justice League, Homelander like Superman, Maeve like Wonder Woman, there are a couple that were big departures.
Yeah.
You got Translucent, who had that carbon skin that could turn himself invisible, and Starlight, who could manipulate light energy.
Yeah.
What would your superpower be if you could choose one?
Oh, God, it would absolutely, positively be flight. I would want to be able to get my favorite pizza in Naples, Italy, and then shoot over and play a round of golf in Scotland. And it'd be for all selfish reasons, not just for me to eat and have more fun, right? That my superhero might be that I gain way too much weight and have too much fun. But I love the idea of flight. I don't think the Star Trek transporting from place to place is happening anytime soon. So maybe if there's a chemical that can help me fly, I can go get better pizza, better Thai food, better golf courses, go see the French Open when I want to, and watch tennis events or all over the world, or golf events all over the world. That'd be pretty cool. So I'd take flight.
I'd rather fly than have my atoms taken apart and put back together again.
I agree.
So season 1 ended. Clearly, we're getting into a season 2. You already mentioned that you're excited about it. What do you hope to see in season 2?
I like to know a little bit more about the corporation that's behind these superheroes, the chemicals they use to probably create it. Obviously, they're alluding to, probably doing this with babies and breeding superheroes. And I think I'm fascinated by the idea of this corporation not only utilizing them to market them with movies and television shows and ads, and then obviously make money eventually by militarizing them, putting them in the military, and then taking control of that. So this is your typical big evil corporation taking the idea of making money and manipulating people to an extreme in a superhero world that we really haven't seen that before. So that kind of fascinates me, and who's behind this corporation and how they did it, and then what other superheroes haven't we seen? I think it's a Black Noir or something like that we saw, but he never said a word. Obviously, they're setting him up, and there are obviously just tons of these local superheroes like Starlight that got a chance at the big leagues. So who do they bring that replaces Translucent? And if Starlight's truly on the good side against Homelander, who replaces her? And who are these superheroes' powers? And who replaces one of my favorite teen actresses ever, Elizabeth Shue? And who steps into that role? And so there's just a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. I haven't heard when the next series is coming out, but I hope it's soon. So
I was hoping in doing the research I'd find a date for that, but so far they haven't announced. I have seen they're halfway through filming season 2. So.
Oh, that's better than I would have thought. So That's good.
Maybe this year. That'd be nice.
Funny. It's because of this, and I think it was Jack Ryan. I just got done binging on Prime. All of a sudden, I'm becoming a huge fan of the fact that I've had Amazon Prime forever and never realized I could download anything on my iPad, and I'm constantly on an airplane. So right now, I'm just enamored with started with Fleabag, which I can't recommend a series any more than Fleabag 1, but season 2 was nearly perfect. It was one of the most perfect television series I've ever seen in my entire life. And started with downloading Fleabag, then downloaded The Boys, and then I'm downloading Jack Ryan, and now I'm on The Good Omens. So one I know that a lot of our fans are excited about. So I really like the way the whole Prime thing works, and how it's easy to download and it's easy to take it with you. And I love that we're in this world where there's so much amazing content being created, and we can consume it in such a easy way. I'm loving right now Amazon Prime. So.
Where does The Boys stack for you against some all-time favorite shows? What are some of your all-time favorite shows?
My favorite show of all time is by far Arrested Development, and I know this because I've probably watched the first 3 seasons. I won't talk much about season 4 and 5 because I'm not sure that's really Arrested Development. It's got the same name, but in its essence, Arrested Development season 1, season 2, season 3, I've probably rewatched all those seasons at least 7 or 8 times. So that by far is my favorite TV show. Then probably followed by Seinfeld, and then things like the new Battlestar Galactica, way up there. Obviously The Boys is one of my favorites. Game of Thrones is obviously one of my favorites. There's a lot up there, but heads and tails, Arrested Development and Seinfeld would be 1 and 2.
Good choices. Are there some other shows on your must-watch list that you're waiting to get to?
Yeah, so Good Omens for sure. I'm 3 episodes into Succession, which is on HBO, which is a big corporation and a dad that's run the corporation forever and built it up, and then how he's gonna hand this down to his family, and it kind of goes with my love of Billions, which is one of my favorite shows, and I'm all caught up on Billions. So watching Succession right now. What else is on my list? That's a really good question. Good Omens, just talked about trying to get that done. I haven't watched the last season of Handmaid's Tale, so I need to catch up on that. iZombie has a season that I still have to get caught up on. I'm a huge iZombie fan, so those are the ones I'm kind of on my next to-do list. So, yeah.
I have a recommendation for you then, based on The Boys.
Yep.
The actor who played Homelander, Anthony Starr, was in Banshee. Did you ever watch Banshee?
No.
Oh, fantastic show from
There you go.
Cinemax, I believe, and it's got
wow.
like 5 or 6 seasons.
Okay, good.
Really good.
Good, yeah.
Well, I asked quite a few questions about The Boys. Is there anything I didn't hit on that you wanted to talk about with The Boys? Something that stood
I
out
can
to you?
tell you that we just came up with our first line list of what The Boys Pops will look like, and it's exciting. We've even earmarked a couple things that are special for San Diego Comic-Con. So it's just September, and yet looking at San Diego Comic-Con, Funko Fun Days, and we're planning the first wave of The Boys Pops. So I think that's a coincidence. We're having this interview on the same day that all that stuff happens, so that's kind of cool.
That's awesome. Well, we talk about it a lot on the Funcast and when we're answering questions, but I think it would be good to hear from you as well. When fans ask for things like The Boys Pops and other shows that they're into, there's often a delay. It takes 9 months, sometimes longer. Why is that? What's the process that takes it so long?
Sometimes we take something like, a great example is Umbrella Academy, and we thought it'd be a little bit more niche than it turned out to be, and we always would say, okay, we just watched Umbrella Academy 1, let's make sure it gets renewed. Check that box. 2, let's see if there's any buzz about it, and obviously the buzz exceeded expectations. And then 3, we often think that it's best to release a season 1 series of Pop right before season 2 airs. There are certain examples where we don't do that and we move it up, and I think Umbrella Academy is one where we've made a conscious decision to not worry about putting it in front of season 2 and just get it out as soon as possible. So that would mean it would move faster than a typical 9 months. And so I think for us, usually there's a strategy behind it, and we want to kind of coincide off the buzz and the marketing around a season 2 of something, and then that's when like something like an Umbrella Academy would show up. But that there's so much excitement about that series. We just let's just get this product out as soon as possible. And we tend to, as we mature as a company, we tend to work further and further out and give our licensing partners and our factories a roadmap of how we schedule stuff. And sometimes that means we have to be a little bit patient, but we always think that it's worth it. So
I think so. I mean, the art has developed so much and evolved so much over the years. Speaking of, and this is a departure from The Boys as well, but we just revealed all the New York Comic Con exclusives, save a few that are still getting licensor approval. Any standouts to you that you're really excited about?
It's funny. I do pay attention to our comments, and it did seem like there was an overall sense of NYCC is greater than SDCC, and that interests me, and so we're digging in to figure out why. What did we do right on San Diego Comic-Con or wrong on San Diego Comic-Con that made people think that NYCC was a much better offering, and that kind of sentiment interests me, and I want to dig down why. And was it because there was a better balance of mixes? Were there more niche licenses? Did we do better jobs of picking things that people love with Marvel? Was it more obscure? Was it less obscure? Were the characters more obscure or less obscure? And so there's a lot there. There was a lot of New York-centric things that were eclectic for us, like Keith Haring and Basquiat, and we created a mascot for New York Comic Con for the first time, the pigeon, and we're excited about that. So there are some things. I mean, obviously, I always go to Scott Pilgrim and Hanna-Barbera and stuff that I love, but I do love the diversity of NYCC. It seems like it is way more random. And I love randomness. I think Comic-Con should be reserved for randomness. And I think there's some more things still to reveal that people are going to be excited about. But I said, we do pay attention to the comments, and I am fascinated by the overall perception that this is a stronger offering than SDCC. So
we listen to the fans.
Yeah, we always listen to the fans. That's why we're where we're at, because we listen to the fans. So.
And finally, because we have just a couple minutes left, right on the heels of New York Comic Con, that LA store is going to be opening.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, excitement level for that?
Oh, we're at 11 on excitement level, and there's a lot of pressure. These guys are really working hard down there, and our team and our general contractor, we found some amazing talent to help us build this down in LA to match with our already amazing in-house team, and it's going to be something special. It's coming together really quick, and the next couple months are going to be just race to get this thing finished, but it will not disappoint. It will be the Everett store on steroids, and it is going to be much more of an experience, and we really put a focus on trying to elevate, not just standing next to a statue, but climbing onto a statue or into a statue, and I won't give too much away, but it's a special space in a special location, and I think what we'll be able to do with the space, with the proximity of our studios, is really leverage our wonderful retail partnerships and licensing partnerships with the studios and try to bring press junkets and talent into the space and have some really great fan-centric events that are going to make that space seem even better than it currently is without that talent. So I think it's going to be really cool.
I'm ready.
Cool.
Let's do it. Well, thank you for the time.
You bet, man. Good talking to you.
That was our segment with Brian about The Boys, and as it turns out, we talked about a few other things. So hopefully you enjoyed hanging around and hearing the conversation about New York Comic Con exclusives, a nice little surprise about The Boys that I did not know about going into the interview. So that was really cool that he confirmed that for us, and a little talk about the upcoming Funko Hollywood store in LA. If you hung around this long, I appreciate it. That means a lot to us that you listen to the whole thing. We got to do a giveaway on this time around, don't we? I can't leave without doing a giveaway. Please share this episode of the Funcast just like we do every week on Twitter. Tell people why they should listen. Include the hashtag Funko Funkast. That's FUNKO, FUNKAST. And tell people why they should listen. Go ahead and tag Brian in that tweet. Again, I want him to see that we have a great audience. I know you guys are amazing. Let him know that you appreciate his time and that you like the episode. Maybe drop some hints of some things you'd like to hear him talk about in the future. And as always, we have to have a special emoji. I did not think about this in advance, but knowing that we have the Deep as one of the characters in the show, one that Brian and I talked about, how about you drop in an emoji? I think there's one of a wave. Isn't there one of some water? Make sure your emoji is of some water, a wave, something like that, to let me know that you actually listened to the whole thing all the way through and to weed out those who just try to enter to win prizes. Once again, I'm going to give away some Funko Shop boxes of fun. Maybe multiple if we get enough people who are excited about this. And then on SoundCloud, don't forget to go over and listen. Leave a comment or several hundred, whatever you want to do. I would love to see us at some point bust 1,000 comments on one of these. And we will definitely give away yet another Social Media Freddy and a Funcast t-shirt, maybe multiple. We'll just see how I feel. The more engagement we have, the more prizes I'll give away. And again, thank you, everyone, for listening to the Funcast. It means the world to us when you drop those nice tweets and comments and engage with us. Really, it makes my day to see all the happy folks listening to the Funcast and having a good time with it. That fuels us to do more. And hopefully, we will see you soon at New York Comic Con. Until next time, Nerds Unite.